It's week 3 here at the Gold Team Championship, and at the end of this week, teams will get to get some slight bonuses like ban out an opponent and that sort of thing going forwards. So at the end of week 3, there will be a good reason to be leading the league, although a long way to go with 9 weeks total in this tournament. This week we're going to get to see Suning's Rugal and VK's Tianming. We're not going to get to see Lion like I hoped we would. She is in a game show at the time of this recording in China. Has this like the top 60 brains in China taking part, and so wish her the best of luck in that. But VK have been the talk of the town all the way through this tournament so far. A young team, both in terms of how new the team is, but also in terms of the age of the players. Tianming, first achievement on the list of achievements I get given is 2019, and a lot of these players go all the way back to 2014, 2015 for those achievements. And so it will be interesting to see if they can lead at the end of this first phase of the tournament. And with a 3-1 start, so far they're looking good for it. It's last hero standing, as you can see at these lineups. Rugal bringing the warrior, the rogue, the mage and demon hunter banned out. Tianming has got demon hunter banned as well. Also has mage and warrior, but warlock is a deck there. And the reason I'm pausing is because that is not what is written down. And as I mentioned earlier, I do write everything down way in advance. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. It looks like the site actually is bugged for that one, and it's not on me on this occasion. I'm going to retry one more time. Yep, I think the week 3 decks, the week 2 decks are showing up the same, so we're going to have to wing it a little bit. And all my notes are wrong. That's going to be fun. So, from the notes I have, this rogue is a Highlander rogue. That does seem to be borne out by the hand we can see. So that's something at least. Sealy fating his own face, just to not waste mana. I understand the point, and also that warrior leaves injured minions lying around a lot, and then next turn you want to be playing an Edwin, so you don't really want to be messing around with Seal Fate, so where do you get to play it? But in a deck that doesn't really Galacron very well anyway, do you need to though? I've always found the Seal Fate your face thing a little bit weird, and I'm definitely wrong on some of the occasions I wouldn't do it. But this one felt particularly obtuse. I believe the choice between Isira or Lady Vash, the Shaman Prime. The ability being draw 3 cards, reduce their cost by 3, I think. We'll go with that. Sounds near enough to me. If something crazy happens and he doesn't play it and it seems like that would be obvious, we'll reassess that situation. But we haven't seen much Shaman, so if I got the wording on a Shaman card wrong, I wouldn't be entirely shocked. So even though Warrior is a big favourite in this matchup, the way that Rogue can get the job done is almost exactly this. Get the early Edwin, get the early Faceless, and then just keep curving out while the Warrior ends up having to use its resources defensively. And although the warrior is cut out for killing small boards of 2/2s and things like that, 6/6's not quite so much its bag, as you're going to see here. And this is a use once strategy that the warrior has available, which is the bombs and the skippers. Technically used twice, but yeah, it's unlikely you draw both skippers and both bomb wranglers in the same game. So as we see now, just looking at that Seal Fate again, wouldn't really be of use this turn. And going forward, it's hard to see when it would have been played. So, starting to look like it may have been the right move. We should keep an eye on it. The best way to learn about your Hearthstone mistakes and potential improvements is to watch each turn what would have happened if that card hadn't been played. And not much was changed because you'd get the Lackey anyway. Fitting in the Lackey doesn't make that much difference, although it could do if it got a spell or a minion that would fit on curve, so you have to factor that in. But just keep an eye on how the game plays out. Obviously it's a sample size of 1, but sometimes even a small sample size is enough to get a feel for how it should work out. Even if it doesn't necessarily work out, you get a feel for, oh yeah, I can see now that that's a thing that could work. And that's why I do loop back into how plays pan out from time to time. So the importance of last turn from Rugal is it's giving a very good chance to be able to use the Faceless Corruptor. Obviously it can be used with a Lackey anyway, but it would be nice for Rugal to turn one of these into a Lackey attack with it, and then once again evolve it into something even bigger. Tianming sort of struggling for something to do. This often happens after the Bomb Wrangler turn, where you're left with not much on the board, so you need to develop more, but you have a 1/1 skipper that interferes with your plans and blows your bombs up. Okay, Rugal does have that opportunity now to have 2 4/4s with Rush. Potentially with the opportunity to Shadow Step and do something with them afterwards as well. But going to go the slightly more sensible way. Play the Lady, play the SI7 and occupy some board. Running a little low on cards though. Against a warrior that still has a Battle Rage available. Not the position you want to be in as the rogue, although in fairness this is a pretty grim matchup. Still got the mage and their own warrior to come. So we will get to see what I think is a slight unfavoured. I think the mage is slightly unfavoured against the warrior, and then presumably a mirror. Some of these gold cards I've never seen in gold before, and the art styles occasionally make me giggle just a little bit. Even I have a sense of humour. So the one thing that Rugal has on his side here is that the warrior is going to have to go through this taunt, then go through the Faceless Corruptors, all the other way around of course. This is the way I would expect it to work out. Also looking forward to seeing, I probably have already had the chance to do this, but I have missed it, whether the Blood Boil Brute has 6 attack or 5. Last week was definitely played with pre-nerfed cards. Waiting to see how this one works out. Yeah, and this is a headache for warrior. Going through these minions, it's still 6/8, so still some time to go before the nerfs. But getting the maximum number of cards out of this. Getting the second skip is a big deal. That means that Tianming can pretty much draw the rest of his deck, and he kind of needs to run out of weapon charges rapidly. And just has this little window right now where Rugal has nothing much going on. So Tianming needs to take advantage of that immediately and put this game out of sight. Obviously always going to be 12 damage available from Inner Rage Grom, so if Grom is picked up, it doesn't quite end the game yet, but coupled with the rest of his hand, it's probably going to be all over. Rugal getting a 5-drop. It's just a 4/4. Sun Reaver War Mage doesn't do anything other than the battle cry, so can safely be ignored. Tianming going to look like he's going to just go for the battle rage, take up the huge rampage first, and if you can deal with these two 4/12s, great for you. You need Flick Sky Shift to do that, which you haven't got, and if you don't deal with them, not only are they going to do a lot of damage, but lots of cards will be drawn. And that kind of looks like end of game. Without Flick, there's no way of getting rid of these. And end of game does seem to be in sight. Trying to desperately get in a position to draw a card or something soon. But can't even take out one of these minions. So Grommash is straight up lethal, but there's plenty of other available options. Yeah, it's just going to draw loads of cards in case for some reason the game continues any further. The Brute should see to that. You can lower the cost of that if you want to by playing Risky Skipper first with Armor Smith and getting some armor. You do injure your own minions by the 1, which is relevant when your opponent can't deal with them, but maybe you just end up with such of a monster board it's possible. Doesn't really matter. Cleans up the board. Opponent down to 13 with no cards that do anything in hand. Siamat. I mean, it helps, and obviously you want that help, but feel like it's too little too late for Rugal here. I think we'll be seeing one of the other two decks coming out to play in just a moment in this last hero standing. Tianming just going to leave that warrior out there and have a 1-0 lead. Okay, so he's thinking of taking out one of these. This makes sense. And Rugal now will get to see another turn because he's not dead on board. Luckily for us, there's an Inner Rage and a Corsair Cash in hand, which means there is lethal available for Tianming and put us all out of our misery, and we can get on to game number 2. Because this one's been done for a while. And VK are continuing their grip on the championship. Or grip on the championship lead. But Chiang, they're looking a lot more nervous than some of his other counterparts. So, worth keeping that in mind as the tournament goes forward. To be expected, of course, there's a lot on his shoulders. He's the third player to go out. The other two have got their job done. He's on the same team as the world champion. Of course he's going to be nervous. Rugal here with the Highlander Mage and getting the Swamp Ooze in the opener. This is a massive deal against a deck that's trying to hit you incredibly quickly. Oof. And next turn you can have a 6/4 for Chiang if he wants it. Probably won't. Probably go for the Challenger. Coin out one more Challenger. And then the turn after will have whatever that is. 6/12? I don't even know. It's just a gigantic number. Maybe this one just gets done without weapons. No, he's not messing around. Would have been a 6/3 the other way. No, would have been a 6/4. I was right. I was right first time. It's the ping that did that. Okay. now the decision needs to be made. We saw Frozen last week. So have to play his Swampoos before weapon on turn 3 to try and challenge a mage, and that didn't really lead to much fun. It just meant that not only did the opponent... Yeah, this is just... Nothing wrong with having to do this. But weapons killing Swampoos instead of Swampoos killing weapons is not the way of the world. It's not how it's meant to be. This isn't how this interaction is supposed to go. And that's another 4 to the face. Excuse me. Okay, so Rugel will have 6 mana available next turn. This is where the game can begin to potentially turn around. Although with Dragoncaster in hand, if he picks up a big spell, this could get interesting. As it stands, Reno is the obvious way forward. Do some quick math here. 10 and 4 is 14. Take off 3 because the Mana Saber hits you. Leaves 11. Reno only does 10. So one of these will survive. Maybe only it's a 1-1. The 1-1 would be enough to finish off the Mana Saber. I say one of these will survive. It would have to hit the challenger. If he went the other way, it would have to hit the challenger 10 times in a row for that to work. So yeah, still go for this. This will likely end in the same result, the way that binomial things work out. And of course, the Mana Saber will have 4 health instead of 1, which is a significant improvement on the silliness that I was spouting. However, it is a bit of a temporary blip for Tianming. He is able just to go for the brute into brute. So Rugal needing to pick up a really good spell urgently that he can cast for free with the dragon cast this turn. That's not it. But it is a dragon. Well, he already had a dragon extra, so he can play Malygos. Pick up a card he wants to play for free next turn, and then play that for free along with the Dragoncaster. That'll get him into the Tortal Pilgrim, which will add a load more value to what's going on. I feel like that's where you want to be. But he is down to 15. Starting to get into combo ranges. Turns out that when you're hit in the face for 4 for a few turns at the start of a game, your health total goes down pretty quickly. Ah, risky skipper and some bombs. Just extra damage to the opponent's face, an extra board to face. And let's keep our eyes on that Korkon Elite and that Inner Rage as well. That's representing 6, 12 for mercenaries are picked up. So lethal is on the cards anytime soon. And Rugal hasn't managed to get everything in order here. Missiles works, but you still get a bomb, probably in the face. Okay. All of these options are just not good enough. Taking his time on it just in case there is a decent way out. Obviously you don't take the missiles, you take the other one, the explosion. If you go for that style, but he wants to deny bombs. That's what the thinking was about. Either way you end up creating another bomb and taking a 50-50 of a bomb to the face. So he does it this way. And that's quite clever. Because of how he played the secret really quickly in there. Just making Chiang not sure what the secret is. I feel like he's trying to make it look like this isn't the card that it is. Tianming's not messing around, he just wants more cards. Yeah, Deathwing helps. Trade off the skipper, and then I guess you check for the secret, and think if things blow up, they blow up. You just make another board. He's not even messing with it. Yeah, this is a better play. It's just a better play. This way you get the bomb damage to the face as well. And Rugal, unless this is insane, he's going to take this one down. Sorry, he's going to be taken down. Conjurer's calling and hope for the best. Needs to get some taunts out of it if he does that. This isn't going to work. This was never going to work. And Chiang takes a 2-0 lead. Options very limited there for Rugal. Not a lot he could do. And now we're going to get into the mirror. And again, I will say my deck lists say that both of these decks are the meaty version of the deck. We have got that confirmed pretty much for VK. Although we did see Tolviers, and that's why I'm bringing it up. The version I see on this website doesn't have Tolviers on it. So pardon me if we wing this a bit and get wrong versions, but in general, if you've got Tolviers, you want to get them down early, you want to buff them up, you want to hit people. If you haven't, you want to be a little bit more defensive and use your Deathwing to clear some boards and get some value in this situation. Skyvateer, chance to get another card is very welcome in this deck. You don't need many cards, the deck's so full of threats. But they do need friends. The cards tend to combo in this deck. So whilst you don't need many cards, you also do need a few cards to make sure one of your combos gets set up. A lot of those, of course, revolving around the skipper. It's already in hand. Oof. There's no comfortable way to turn this to take this down without burning an Inner Rage, which is one of the best cards in your deck. But giving your opponent a handful of bombs is something it looks like Tianming does not want to do. So instead, give yourself a good chance of having a 2-minion board. It works. Yeah, you see the shake of the head there. You'd think that's great. The 4 damage has been absorbed. But he was hoping this card would win him the game. And now it's just being whittled away into just a normal card instead of being a 110. Rugal's hand also fine, also with the skipper. We'll get the second skipper soon as well, thanks to the Ankar. And when the games start off with these bouts of being unimpressive and trying to tickle each other to death, these are the games where value comes in. These are the games where if you use your risky skippers, you tend to lose. Obviously you have to use them, you have to draw cards etc. with them, but you want to be the person with the last skipper. It's a big deal. But more of a big deal is you want to be the person with the last health points. At the moment, Tianming is just setting the pace in that front. Not threatening at the moment, though. Not sure I like that, though. Rugal had a chance there to take down the challenger. He's going to do it this way, which does make some sense. I don't know. Did he need to? Yeah, he got the brute down. I'm being awkward, I guess. given Tianming a little problem here. It's easy enough to kill this, it's just finding a way to kill it that makes good, efficient play, and can't find one. He was hoping maybe to get the second kobold lackey there. Just be more efficient. Doesn't really want to put his own brute into this. Feels very, very wasteful, but that was the play that caught his eye at the start of the turn, and mine. Now it's Rugal's turn to have another brute. In that position where the skipper's a bit of a liability, might just want to trade it away. Interested to see how he goes about this. He can't really abuse the fact that his minions will be injured, but he is looking at, if you can get turn 7 set up with a nice little board, get some damage in there, just go for the Grom kill on turn 8. That very rarely comes off in the mirror, but maybe it's going to work here. For that play to work, you probably have to take down the opposing brute with the face. Play your own. At least some variant on that theme. Having to do it this way so he's still got the weapon up so he can get the reduced cost, of course. Yep, this looks like a pretty decent board, and it does go back to the turn before where he wanted to get his brute set up. This is the positive outcome of that. Same play again here though from Tianming. Basically the same as the previous turn. Leave myself with 2 not very good minions, but clear your board. Oh, he would love to be able to get that lackey into play. Now, Armour Smith, not really that useful. Very useful in some situations later, but not really where he stands at the moment. I was looking at lethal kills from that side of the board. We need to keep our eyes on both sides of the board, of course. Both players much lower on health than is customary in this matchup. And Rugal's decided that that's given him the inclination to just go for this. And I think that's going to demand a skipper from Tianming. So you can turn some sort of battle rage out of it at the same time. And this will likely leave him a little in front. Some sort of board versus nothing, and at least a few cards. And that's more than just a few cards, that's actually a Grom with an inner rage. And we know how that works out. So this looks weird, because if you're playing against rogues and things, preemptively inner raging is just silly. But when you've got your own Warm Ball and you've given it an inner rage, your opponent can't play theirs into it, and that's why you do it this way. Yeah, you give up the Grom combo and all that, but that will find its own way to the face. But this 3/8 inner raged challenger is just beastly to deal with. And Rugal's definitely not finding any way to deal with it. So what he's choosing to deal with it is draw some cards, gain some armour, and try not to die. So inner rage off the top would be lethal here. We've definitely seen one, we might have seen 2. He seems to have drawn a lot of them in the last 2 or 3 games, and it's all becoming a bit of a blur. But just the Deathwing, I don't even see how that gets dealt with next turn. So Rugal's going to just gain some armour. So he's out of that lethal range. I think that makes a lot of sense. You can expect it to be existing. This feels like a Deathwing turn. It doesn't have to be. Yeah, make 2 5/5s. Sorry, 6/6s. 5/5s after they trade. And Tianming has definitely got the control of this now. He still has that second risky skipper for any required synergies. Usually now would save it for the Grommash for a 10-point 1-turn hit to take away the inner rage necessity. This does mean that I think his play was correct. It looks superb when you see it on the board. It does take away the fact that Deathwing now will likely never see a turn. But having the taunts up just makes huge amounts of sense. He is precariously balanced and could well have died if he had Deathwing just for the fact he had no defense. And as you see, the opponent having 27 is relevant in that Rugal will get some more turns, but it's going to be eaten away at pretty rapidly. Huh. Okay. More damage available. Has a dragon in hand, so might choose to just take the possibility of getting 5 armor. Gets 5 armor a different way. All roads lead to 5 armor by the look of things. And Rugal's headache is just getting worse, as now lethal is set up. Throwing a taunt in the way. We'll get something done. Chiang starting to favour armour a little bit. I think he thinks he's got the hand to win this if he doesn't lose to a surprise attack. So trying to take those options off the table. And he'll be pleased to see this in a lot of ways. This now is many ways that things could go wrong have gone, but so can get to face with a Grom here, or can just play the Deathwing. Sometimes you don't want to play the Deathwing just because it gets killed by a spell lucky getting execute. Even though it's a bit convoluted, it can definitely happen to you, so you'd like to get the damage done. So he's just going to go loads of bombs, do the damage. We saw this against the mage, how he ran it as well. He's using those bombs as face damage. Average of 2.5 points of damage each. He's seen the opposing skippers, so his board unlikely to be cleared here. As it stands, doesn't have an activator for his Grom, but still has plenty of other good things going on. Does have an issue getting through here. And I never thought this Deathwing was going to see play, but it looks like the Deathwing may indeed see play now. Ordering there was to make sure that maximum bomb damage is done again. He spends a lot of his turns being very accurate about bomb damage. Why wouldn't you? He even gave himself the outside chance of next turn lethal with a weapon. But he's got it with the Grom. Horrible evolve shouldn't matter. It looks like VK are going to get yet another win here in the Team League. Tianming got himself out of range before the taunts were eradicated and has managed to set up lethal on board, lethal from hand, and worst case scenario he can still get a Corsair Cash activation as well. I don't believe he's gone through all 3 weapons, so again We've seen a lot of warrior cards in the last half hour or so. And Rugal can't even deal with what he can see. Trying to roll a taunt, does not roll it, gives it up! VK go back to the top of the table. And a delighted looking player there alongside his not so delighted looking Tiger. We'll see more Hearthstone later on today.